Good evening to you and welcome. Come in out of the wind. Tonight our journey carries us far from the warm marble of Rome, far from the sunlit hills of Italy, north through the forests of Gaul, across the grey and tossing water of the Channel, and up at last into the mist-wrapped hills at the very edge of the known world. It is the 2nd century, in the long and steady reign of the Emperor Hadrian, and his great stone wall runs from sea to sea across the narrow neck of Britannia, a silent ribbon of stone laid across the shoulder of the island. We have come to a small auxiliary fort tucked against the southern face of that wall, arriving just as the light goes out of the sky, that long, grey northern dusk that seems reluctant to let go of the day. Stand with me a moment at the heavy timber gates and feel the wind come down off the high, open moor, carrying the smell of wet heather and peat and distant rain. It sounds almost like the slow breathing of the whole island, deep and cold. But past the gate, past the guard stamping his feet against the chill, there is a warm glow spilling from a doorway, and with it the low murmur of voices, the creak of leather, the soft clank of a bronze bowl. Here, where the empire draws its last long breath, the ordered and enduring peace of the Roman world begins. If these lamplit hours bring you some peace, you are always welcome to return. Subscribe, and I shall keep a lamp burning for your next night in old Rome. And now, let us begin. We pass under the gate, and already the wind grows fainter, more muffled behind the thick stone. Come with me quietly across the shadowed courtyard toward the Principia, the headquarters building that stands at the very heart of the fort, its tiled roof gleaming wetly in the last of the light. All is still within its great cross hall. The gravel settles softly beneath our feet. At the far end, lit by the low golden flames of 2 bronze lamps, lies the Hades, the sacred shrine, the most venerable space in all the fort. Look through the open doorway. There, standing in their sockets, polished until they gleam, are the signa, the military standards of the cohort. The legionary eagle is not here, you understand. These are auxiliaries, men drawn from the provinces, from Gaul and Spain and the flat riverlands of Germania. But their own standards are no less holy for that. They are not mere emblems of bronze and silver disk and wreath and crescent moon. To the men who march beneath them, they are almost living things, sacred, imbued with the protecting spirit of the unit, treated with the reverence one gives a god. Before them stands a simple altar of local stone, carved with the name of the commander and the cohort, and the old, worn words, "Votum solvit libens merito." He has fulfilled his vow willingly and as it was deserved. Here, Jupiter Optimus Maximus, the best and greatest of the gods, is thanked each day for the safety of the fort, and beside him Mars, whose watchful care keeps the borders whole. The thin smoke of the morning's small offering of incense still lingers in the rafters, sweet and faint, drifting like a slow prayer through the quiet air. Outside the headquarters, the guard is changing. Let us stand aside and let the men pass. The relief guard come from the barracks in a compact column, their cloaks pulled tight against the damp, their hobnailed boots crunching in slow, steady rhythm on the wet gravel. At the gate, the watchword for the night is given, a whispered word, chosen fresh each evening from the commander's house, barely louder than the wind, passed from the outgoing sentry to the man who takes his place. It is a small word of power, a quiet key that unlocks the long, dark hours. Come up the steep, narrow steps with me, your hand on the cold, rough stone, and stand a moment on the wall walk at the highest place of the fort. The wind is stronger here, sweeping across the dark, undulating waste of the moorland, but the stone beneath our hands is thick and solid and immovable. The sentry wraps his heavy woolen cloak tighter about his shoulders and leans against the parapet, his eyes moving slowly over the black country beyond. There is no fear in his gaze and no enmity. Out there is only the ancient, sleeping earth of the north, resting under the same wide blanket of stars that covers the fort. And far below, the small fires of the native farmsteads twinkle in the distance like fallen stars, peaceful and still, bound to the same quiet night. If the sentry is very still, he may feel the presence of the place itself. The genius loci, the spirit of this high, bleak ground, the god of the very soil on which the fort stands. Men have raised altars to that spirit, thanking the nameless god of this northern hill for letting them build their hearths upon its ancient breast. It is a Roman custom, and a British one too, to know that the land has a soul of its own. The sentry, a man from the Rhineland, knows it in his bones and settles into the long, quiet hours of his watch. Let us leave him to his thoughts and go down, now, into the warmth of a barrack-room. For this is the true beating heart of the fort, where the common soldiers live. The long, low buildings are divided into small square rooms called contubernia, where 8 men live and eat and sleep as brothers. Push aside the heavy leather curtain and step inside, and the air is instantly warmer, rich with the comforting, earthy smells of wood smoke and drying wool and oiled leather and the last of the evening's pottage. In the center of the room, a small peat fire glows low, a bed of pulsing orange embers casting a gentle dancing light over the simple wooden bunks and over the men who are settling for the night. Their armor hangs neatly on pegs along the wall, and there in a small niche carved near the doorway stand the household gods, the Lararium, the shrine of the Lares. They are tiny bronze figures, worn smooth by the touch of many hands, and beside them a small clay image of a local mother goddess, adopted here, so far from home. A little earthenware lamp burns before them, its flame no larger than a hazelnut, and the men have set out a few grains of salt and a drop of wine from their evening ration as an offering. It is the same quiet devotion you would find in any house on the Aventine Hill in Rome itself, carried, unchanged, to the cold edge of the world, and performed here as simply and naturally as breathing. The Lares do not care for the grand politics of the empire. They care only for the men in this room, for the mending of a torn cloak, the healing of a blistered foot, the quiet safety of the night. The fort is not merely a fortress, it is a home. Before the fire dies down, one of the men reaches for a small bundle wrapped in oiled cloth. Inside are the letters from home, not written on costly papyrus, but on thin, flexible leaves of birchwood, no thicker than a leaf, their pale surfaces inscribed with dark, looping, flowing ink. Hold one in your mind's eye a moment and feel the smooth grain beneath your fingertips. The ink smells faintly of soot and gum, a sharp, earthly scent that grounds the words in the real. These are not grand declarations of war or statecraft. They are the small, beautiful, ordinary threads of human connection that stretch across the whole sprawling empire, binding a lonely sentry to the warm hearths of his childhood. One tablet gently scolds a soldier for not writing back, and lists, carefully, the winter comforts sent up with the supply train. 2 pairs of thick woolen socks against the damp, a set of warm underpants, and a small barrel of dark, malty beer to lift his spirits. He would swap 100 victories, he had written once, for a pair of dry socks. Another tablet, in an elegant flowing hand, is a birthday invitation. Claudia Severa, the wife of a commander at a fort down the road, writing to her dear sister, asking her to come and share the joy of the day, and sending her warmest greetings. Even here, on this cold and distant frontier, the heart still beats with love, and the calendar is still marked with celebration. Reading these words by the fading firelight, the soldier smiles, folds the thin wood carefully, and tucks it beneath his pillow. He is no forgotten cog in a vast machine. He is a son, a friend, a man deeply loved, anchored to the world by these fragile, wooden whispers of home. Let us step back out into the crisp night and walk a little way to the bathhouse, a low stone building set apart from the fort, its thick walls holding the deep, radiating heat of the furnaces that burn beneath the floors. Even at this late hour, the great furnace, the prefernium, glows a deep and steady cherry red, tended by a sleepy stoker who feeds it dry logs of birch and oak. And the heat rises up through the hollow floor to warm the rooms above. Though the bathing hours are long past, the air inside is still thick with soft steam and the clean herbal scent of olive oil and the sharp bite of the bronze strigils scraped across the skin. This is where the men come to wash away the grime of the day's labour, the clearing of ditches, the mending of stonework, and to let the deep heat loosen the aching muscles of their shoulders. Some sit on the warm benches playing a slow game of latrunculi, the little soldiers, moving their pieces across the board like a quiet battle. Others cast knucklebones onto the tiles, their muttered prayers for good luck as natural as breathing. And there, in a small alcove, stands a modest altar to Fortuna herself, the goddess of luck and fate and chance, her stone carved with the image of a wheel and worn smooth by the touch of countless fingers. Before her lie a few small coins, the offerings of men who have one last throw of the dice to make. They are not asking for riches, these soldiers. They ask only for the simple luck of a good draw, a warm meal, a night's sleep undisturbed by the wind. Fortuna here is a homely goddess, a friend in a cold country, and the men honour her with the same warmth with which they would greet a comrade. The slow, rhythmic drip of water from a bronze pipe into the cold basin echoes softly through the empty rooms, a gentle, hypnotic sound, lulling the weary body into a state of perfect, languid rest. But there is another sanctuary, quieter and stranger, that lies just beyond the walls of the fort. Let us slip out through a small postern gate and walk a short distance into a quiet hollow in the dark valley. Here, half buried in the slope, its low barrel-vaulted roof seeming to grow out of the earth itself, lies the Mithraeum, the temple of the mystery cult of Mithras, built partly underground to mimic the cave where the god's great deed was done. Stoop with me and step down into the central aisle, and let your eyes adjust to the deep, golden dimness. The air is close and warm, and smells of damp stone and lamp oil, and the sweet smoke of many small flames. Rows of stone benches line the sides where the initiates sit, the brothers of the cult, from the lowest ranker to the fort commander himself, side by side here as equals, for the harsh hierarchies of the army melt away in this warm, close room. At the far end, lit by a circle of small lamps, stands the great carved image. Mithras, the unconquered, young and strong, his cloak billowing behind him as he gently, firmly slays the cosmic bull. A scene not of cruelty, but of life-giving sacrifice, from which all the fertile abundance of the world is said to spring. There is nothing to fear here, no dark sorcery, only the profound and comforting warmth of a secret brotherhood. The men share a simple sacred meal of bread and wine, bound by oaths of loyalty to one another, and they call upon Deus Invictus Mithras, the unconquered sun, to bring light to the darkness of the world and the darkness of the soul. Their chant is low and rhythmic, a deep, resonant hum that vibrates in the chest, and it wraps the mind in a cloak of absolute trust and fellowship, carrying the men gently toward the peaceful shores of sleep. Leaving the warm cave of Mithras, we walk a little further along the valley, following the sound of water. For this land is full of streams and hidden springs. A short way on, bubbling up from the deep, dark earth, is the sacred spring of Coventina. The soldiers have built a neat, square well house of stone around the waters, but the goddess who dwells within is entirely her own, a native deity of the flowing stream and the hidden depth, honored on this island long before the eagles ever came. The air around the well is thick with a soft silver mist, rising off the water and curling gently around the reeds. Listen to the quiet, musical plink of the spring as it overflows the stone lip and runs away into the dark. The water is so clear, so perfectly still, that it looks like polished black glass, holding the reflection of the few stars that manage to pierce the heavy mist. Look down into it, and you can see the glint of the soldiers' offerings resting on the sandy bottom. Hundreds upon hundreds of small bronze and silver coins, their emperors' faces worn smooth by the water. A scatter of fine enameled brooches still shining faintly in the dark, small clay cups that once held a drop of wine. Each is a quiet prayer for health, for a safe road home, for the well-being of a distant child. Imagine dropping a single smooth coin into the deep. You do not hear a splash, only a soft, satisfying plink as it joins the thousands of others. A silent, shining testament to the hopes of generations of passing men. Coventina asks for no grand temple and no bloody sacrifice. She asks only for a moment of quiet reverence at the water's edge. And the gentle, endless murmur of her spring has played the same soft lullaby to these hills since the world was young. Returning toward the sleeping fort, we pass a row of larger stone altars standing along the perimeter wall. Silent witnesses to the beautiful, seamless blending of worlds that is the true nature of this frontier. The Interpretatio Romana, the Roman way of understanding the divine. For the Romans did not come to this wild land to conquer its gods. They came to greet them, to learn their names, and to invite them into the fellowship of the empire. Here, on one altar, a soldier has dedicated a stone to Mars Cocidius, a perfect marriage of the Roman god of war with a fierce and beloved local god of the northern forest and the hunt. Nearby, a Gaul has carved his prayer to the Sulavii, the gentle native mother goddesses, and set them beside the great gods of Rome. The men see no conflict at all in this multitude of names. To them, the divine is one vast and welcoming sky that covers all peoples, and every stream and every hill and every forest has its own quiet voice. And beside the gate, half hidden in the shadow of the great wall, stands that simple, unadorned altar to the genius loci, the spirit of this one exact and specific place, thanking the nameless god of this northern hill for letting them build their hearths and sleep in peace and live out their years upon its ancient ground. It is a deeply humbling and peaceful belief, this understanding that we are only guests in a landscape that is itself alive, and that if we treat the land with respect, the land will hold us safely in return. The night air seems to thicken with that quiet gratitude, a soft and invisible blanket of peace, woven from the mutual respect between the men of the empire and the ancient, dreaming spirits of the British earth. Now the hour is very late, and the fort has settled into its deepest rest. Let us walk quietly past the great raised granaries, the Horia, their high buttressed walls and stone pillars lifting the wooden floors clear of the damp ground, keeping the precious grain dry and safe from the mice and the winter to come. Inside those long, dark buildings, the wheat and barley rest in massive, silent piles, a quiet, golden abundance holding the promise of tomorrow's bread. And high in the shadowed rafters, a small owl keeps its own soft watch, while the tiny scratching of field mice makes a gentle counterpoint to the heavy silence. Nearby, in the low stables, the air is thick with the sweet scent of dry hay and oiled harness, and the warm, earthy smell of the cavalry horses. They stand with their heads bowed, their flanks rising and falling in a slow, steady rhythm. And now and then, one shifts its weight with the soft thud of a hoof on straw, or lets out a long, shuddering sigh of perfect, animal contentment. In the commander's house, the praetorium, the family is long asleep. But the household gods are awake, and a single small lamp burns before their shrine, a tiny, constant flame in the dark, the same domestic ritual performed here as in Rome itself. And in the great hall of the Principia, a duty officer sits alone, writing in a journal by the light of one oil lamp. The scratch of his stylus is the only sound. He is recording the small, ordinary business of the day, the number of new recruits, the supply of barley, the weather report. Cold, overcast, wind from the north. And he signs his name at the bottom with a small, neat flourish. The most ordinary of tasks, performed by a soldier at the edge of the empire, a small human act in the vast and gentle dark. The night is at its deepest now, and the wind has died away entirely, leaving the air wonderfully still. A soft mist has settled over the wall like a heavy quilt, muffling every sound, wrapping the stone and timber in a cocoon of white, damp silence. The sentries are still on the wall, but they have become like statues, their thoughts turned quietly inward toward their homes and their gods. One of them, a man from the land of the Belgae, is looking up at the stars. He does not know the Greek names for them, but he knows the patterns his own people have watched for generations. To him, they are not merely points of light, but his ancestors, his gods, his own long past, laid out across the sky. And in this hour of deepest silence, all the different prayers being murmured across the fort, to Jupiter, to Mars, to the genius loci, to Mithras, to Coventina, to the small bright Lares by the hearth, all of them rise up together like smoke from 100 small fires, mingling and dissolving into the one dark sky. They are not separate. They are part of a single, vast, gentle web of belief, a faith as old as the land itself. There is nothing out there to fear, and nothing left to watch for. The gods are awake. They are the true soldiers of the night, standing their own quiet guard over the walls and the sleeping men. The world is held fast in a great, enduring peace, a peace that has lasted for generations and will last for generations more. And so it is time, now, to let the night take us too. The fort has become a great, slow, breathing thing, and we can feel ourselves sinking into the deep, unhurried pulse of it. We are settling down, perhaps on a warm bench near a dying fire, our head grown heavy with the day's long stories. The men around us are sleeping, their breathing deep and even. One of them murmurs a word in his sleep, the name of a god or a woman or a far-off town, a small, unguarded sound, the sound of a soul entirely at rest. There is no need to keep watch. The shadows are not threatening, they are soft and deep and gentle, like a sheltering hand folded over the whole of the fort. The wind that was once a moan is now only a low, gentle hum, like the drone of a distant lullaby, and the mice in the grain store rustle, and a sentry shifts, and the soft creak of his leather harness is only the sound of the world holding steady. We are no longer scholars or travelers or soldiers. We are simply a presence now, a pair of slowly drifting eyes, watching the embers in the hearth turn from orange to red to a soft and glowing grey. The world has narrowed gently to the small circle of light cast by the last low-burning lamp. And we are inside it, and it is warm, and it is safe. And so, my friend, our long walk along the Great Wall comes to its end. The night is almost spent, though the first faint grey of morning is still many hours away. Here in my own quiet study, the oil in my little terracotta lamp is burning very low. The flame no more than a tiny, trembling bead of gold, throwing soft and wavering shadows across the old parchment on my desk. It is time to close the books, to set aside the wooden tablets, and to let the old stories rest. The men of the auxiliary cohort will wake to the sharp, clear light of a northern dawn and break their fast and take up their spears once more. But that is for the morning. For now, the fort belongs to the mist and to the quiet, watching gods. Let the image of the great stone wall fade softly from your mind, dissolving into the dark clouds of sleep. Let the sound of the bubbling spring wash away the last of your waking thoughts. You are safe, and you are warm, and you are held, at the edge of the world, in the deep and gentle embrace of the ancient night. Sleep now. Let the night hold you. On the old wall, of Britannia. Peaceful and still.